I think the main question that everybody's asking, well, mostly me, starting episode 7 of Ghost Doctor, is who possessed him when he was an intern?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another review on the Review Garden.
If you listen carefully to what the other doctors are saying as Young Min and Sung Tak are doing the surgery, they're like, oh, there's no way Sung Tak could do it. He's just an intern. And then the other doctor's like, oh, well, maybe he's possessed or something, right? So, but we know that based on a flashback, maybe episode 1, that it showed you that Young Min was possessed as well, right? So it's like, who possessed him back then? Is it the guy that's currently in charge of everyone? I don't remember if they said what he did in his past life, but I think that's the question of questions, because that's the person that pretty much helped him start his career. Obviously, now he's not possessed. He learned a bunch of things, but back then when he was an intern, someone, possessed his body and pretty much succeeded in the surgery. Also, in episode 7, people are getting suspicious. And, after he keeps performing surgery as an intern, people are like, oh my gosh, he's possessed. And, that other doctor who's working with the cousin, the bad guy, he noticed, the similarities because um, he tried to help Sung Tak, and he did the operation notes the same way that he used to do his. And since the other doctor, pretty much used to work with him, um yeah, because he used to work with him, then he noticed the similarities. So Sungtak had to like run and delete the report just so that someone else um see see that. So, and Sungtak also finds out, like in this episode, that he is going, that Young Min might die from constantly going into his body. So constantly possessing him can cause harm to his own body. So that last surgery with Young Min's idol, he um he didn't want to go to the hospital to help, but he came, in the middle of everything, um because if he didn't, those other two idiot doctors would have killed her. They sliced the wrong part of her heart, and they couldn't even do anything to, like, they were just like scared and didn't want to do anything to fix the problem. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? You're just standing there. Oh my god, oh my god. I'm like, what? And you claim to be doctors? That's crazy. And then um Young Min also finds out, that the reason why his girlfriend, well, ex-girlfriend, left. So like, you have to feel bad for her here, because, she has her, I'm not going to say her ex-boyfriend, but she has her lover in the hospital on the brink of death, and then she has her father in the hospital on the brink of death, but yet she's still like going out and like saving her patients and, you know stuff like that. So you got to give her like some credit. And it wasn't like it was her entirely her fault that she left him, but I feel like the communication could have been there because she didn't give him an explanation. She just like left. And then when the father is explaining to Young Men like what happened, like he sent her away because, he wanted to make up for lost time. So like he paid for her education, blah blah blah. And I'm like, she could have been honest with him. She just like left him abruptly, and now, she came back, and I guess here, because he's a ghost, he's able to listen to all these things that happen. But I figured, like, if he wasn't a ghost, it would have been hard for him to like listen now. I mean, it's been 12 years. 12 years. Like, that's a lot of time to be apart. And then coming back together to be, to be what exactly? Like, you can't just pick up where you left off. So, we're going to have to see how they develop their relationship on his end. At least he's, you know it's not just her word. He's actually listening to other people, and hearing what happened. After watching episode 8 of Ghost Doctor, I want to make a clarification. So apparently she did try to tell him that she was leaving, but it was the same day that the ghost, she tried to tell Young Men that she was leaving, but it was the same day that Young Men was possessed by his ghost. So he did the surgery on the patient that the other doctor was turning away. So that's why they weren't able to meet up. But they only, like, it was only just a few hours, or a few, well, I'm assuming it was a few moments before, he ran, and he remembered that she was waiting for him. Because he was like, why couldn't you wait just a little longer? Da, 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 da. So, and then, in this episode, her father pretty much cleared a lot of stuff for him, because he was like, oh, he sent her abroad. She didn't want any help from him. And she was like, oh, she left someone very special, back in Korea. And it was when the father saw the two of them together right before his operation, that he was like, oh, okay, he's the one that, quote, got away, right? So we're also seeing that the guy who was supposed to, in the spirit world, he was like, oh, as long as you figure out how to save me, I'm going to confess and say exactly what happened. But after he woke up, he didn't remember anything about the spirit world. So, but Sumtak went to go talk to him, and kind of didn't tell him like, hey, when you were in this world, da, da, da. He talked about cognitive dissonance and how this and this and that. So he was able to kind of tell him like, hey, once you get better, you know, do the right thing, type of thing. And the the grandfather figured out the best way to get, well, not grandfather, the father figured out the best way to get out of his situation was to get the lawyer to come down, you know, because the brother has been trying to figure out where the lawyer was. So they're trying to get him to change the will. But he brought, working together with Sungtak and Young Min, the father was able to get the lawyer to come in and, um, pretty much read what his final will was. So he gave nothing to the son, he gave the foundation to the daughter, and then he also gave her money and inheritance, and then all his other money he donated to charity, which, I mean, that's a good thing to do. And, at first I was like, where is this show going? Because we're at the end of episode 8, and this is the 16 episode series. Because, the father pretty much passed away, because in his new will also he signed a paper like do not resuscitate or whatever. So once the brother was no longer in charge of, the father, she ran some tests and she saw that pretty much he doesn't have any brain activity. So she pulled the cord, and the father passed away, and so on. So now it's like, okay, because that was pretty much the case that was taking over this whole thing. And then you also need to talk about, okay, how are they going to get him to come back? How are they going to bring him back? So at the end of episode 8, he's pretty much having, um, more brain function. So we'll see what's going to happen when I review episodes 9, 10, 11, and 12 next time. Um, but it's like, okay, where is this show going? And towards the end, now that the brother is angry, he's going after his half sister. So he's gonna try to cause harm to her. And then, you know, they're going to figure out, well, I'm assuming the cousin is going to figure out that, Young Min and Sungtak are together, because he already knows that Sungtak sees, well, I don't know what he thinks he sees, if he sees, but he knows that he talks to nobody, right? So he knows that secret, because he even confronted Sungtak's mom about it. But the fact that now the other guy, because there were 3 people involved in this whole situation. There's the brother, the cousin, and then the other doctor. What I don't understand is that they put the blame on you, right? They put the blame on the other doctor. They were like, "Oh, he's the one who did the mistake." Pretty much, they turned the whole murder thing, because the brother was trying to kill the father, but they turned this whole murder thing into a malpractice thing, and they pretty much blamed the other doctor. But if they put the blame on you, telling you to take the fall and be fired, or whatever it is, and you're over here giving him the information that you think Young Min and Sungtak are pretty much, quote, the same person, or that he's possessed by Young Min. Like, that's weird to me. And Young Min was pretty much his mentor, right? Young Min pretty much did everything with him and trusted him. And you didn't backstab him once. You backstabbed him twice now in episode 8, because, like, there's no reason for you to even go give them that information. You think like giving him this information is going to somehow save your job? Here, they already put the blame on you. So like go find something else to do. But I think this is what I think moving forward. So we're done with the first half of the series and we're about to tackle the second half. So I'm assuming it's going to be more about them falling back in love, because I saw the preview for episode 9, and Suntak was like, "You better not use my body, for your love stuff." So this is going to be interesting because Suntak has somebody that he's crushing on, and I totally forgot that she was even here. Like they barely show her, but yeah. So Suntak has a love interest himself, and um Young Min has his love interest. So I wonder if they're gonna be showing us that the girl is seeing them, that the other nurse, the intern too, if she's going to be seeing, Suntak and Young Min's ex girlfriend together, but it's not really Sungtak, it's Young Min in his body. So that's going to be interesting. And then we already know that she's going to be in danger because, yeah, Seijin is going to be in danger because her brother is going to be after her. And something else that I did notice, and I guess that's why when they're trying to find like the his when we're trying to find like the history of why Sungtak is of like why Sungtak is able to see ghosts, it looked like his grandpa can see ghosts as well. Because like, well, I don't know for sure, but in episode 8 you just saw him go to the hospital, and he was like, I'm here, are you here? And then when the door opened, it was him and the other guy, the ghost boss. He was the one, walk they were walking together. So I'm guessing they were friends a long time ago. So like, if his body is in the hospital, like is he a ghost, or is he like the other ones where like his body is somewhere in the hospital too? He said he was a ghost for 20 years, so I don't think like they would keep his body on um on monitor for 20 years, right? For his ghost to be running around like that. So I wonder um what's going to happen there. Like what's the story there? And I'm also convinced that since he was in the hospital and his spirit is always getting involved in the little patient, in like different patients. um my thing is he probably used to be a doctor too, because he was in the hospital with the grandpa, so they're like friends, so he was probably a doctor. And it's probably him who went inside of um who went inside young Min's body that very first time. So maybe him going inside the body did something to him, which is why he was telling Young Min like, don't do it so often, because that's causing some type of thing to your body. But apparently not, because at the end of episode 8 he was getting movements in his brain. So we shall see what's going to happen in the second half of Ghost Doctor. And this wraps up our journey on the Review Garden. Thank you for joining me today as we explored this drama. If you enjoyed this reaction and review, please remember to subscribe for more insightful videos. Don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your feedback helps our channel grow. As always, I'm truly grateful for your support and for joining me on this journey on the Review Garden. Until next time, and happy listening. Bye.